Welcome to the show with no name for the 11th day of Christmas. You know, the day after Christmas. By the way, this is 11 Pipers Piping today.
Yes, it is.
So I'm waiting for my true love to send that Scotia Glenville band over here. Anyway, you know, the first day of Christmas is Christmas Day, right? It's celebrated for 12 days, hence the song. Every year, the morning of December 26th, you see Christmas trees already on the curb.
Yeah, it's all gone.
Right? The people ripping their lights down. It's a 12-day celebration, folks, and this house is traditional.
Most people are celebrating the 12 days before Christmas.
That's right.
Of Christmas.
That's right. That's right. And they start putting stuff up Thanksgiving, and it's all gone.
Yeah,
that's ridiculous.
She was in the store the other day, and they had Valentine's up already.
Well, we're kind of built-in traditional in this family anyway, because Anna was born on the Feast of the Epiphany, our first child, on January 6th. And I think that year, if I'm not mistaken, we kept the tree up till she came home from the hospital because we wanted her to see her first Christmas tree. And we got Louisa was born on the 5th a few years later, 9 years later.
Wow.
So we got lots of celebrating. So we always, no matter what the condition of the tree, we always keep it up till the Epiphany, till Anna's birthday.
Were your stockings filled?
Well, the stockings were. I would say Santa Claus did a good job.
Yeah?
If that's your question.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, Jim, behind you, there's a bunch of boxes. Why don't you grab those boxes? These are some of the great presents we got here.
They're empty, Bob.
Yeah. Well, no, they're empty now.
That way.
Yeah, but you got to check the box out. These are, I think the bathe and brew, shower coffee maker, and soap dispenser.
So
you see, you can hook the shower head right into the coffee maker. So you got kind of like a Mr. Coffee. With a shower head at the same time. This is pretty fantastic.
What happens if you mix up the shower head and the bubble?
Well, you know. So you get soapy coffee. You know, we've done that before. And you had 1 tablespoon of ground coffee per 3 minutes of shower time. And while you shampoo, the Bathe and Brew makes fresh coffee at a rate of 1 cup per 12 gallons of shower water. This is fantastic. Fantastic.
Have you tried it yet?
Huh?
Have you tried it?
Oh, well, no. It uses a standard 120 volt outlet.
Oh, well, yeah. We got to be careful in the shower with that.
That's right.
Really? All right, okay. What's the next one here?
Blanket Ease.
Blankies, family blankies, a blanket that covers up to 8 people, or 16 if they're children. It's 216 inches by 72 inches, so that's something huge by 6 feet, right? Wow. And it's only got 2 arm holes, one end and one at the other.
I like the one on the end here, the picture on the end.
Yes, you can go bicycling together as a family. I don't know if you can see this, but you know, you got 3 or 4 different bicycles going, and one blanket covers everybody. Forces cooperation, builds a sense of community, shares heat, wash inside out. So, 18 feet wide. That's 2 full sofas. It says. Okay, what's the?
Oh, this is the one I like.
Oh, the iDrive mobile device mount. You can surf, read, and work at the same time. In other words, you just hook your tablet or whatever, even an adding machine. You see, you can even a standard adding machine will fit on this on the device mount. So as you're driving along, you can balance your checkbook, or check your email, or play games.
Sounds like a good one.
Driving just got way more fun, according to Gamers Weekly magazine.
She would have to be very careful here. If she dropped that towel, she'd get burned with the coffee.
Well, yeah, I mean,
is that the whole purpose?
These things are not guaranteed. This all from the traditionalists, for your Dan Weaver types, it actually will hold a book as well. And here's a guy doing a crossword puzzle, drinking a cup of coffee as he drives along. Anyway, these.
I think this would be a great gift for your high school student.
Absolutely.
You know, they'll work on your homework on the way home.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if is my fire visible here? I guess it is. It's kind of creeping around the sides of Gavin. We got a fire in the traditional fire in the fireplace.
Wow. Yeah, I'm envious.
Well, I got to tell you that they're just boxes. Nothing came in them.
Next year, and tell me there's no Santa Claus. Too.
Well, I don't know. Oh, look, you can even mount it on your tractor. Did you see that? On your lawn tractor.
For the farmer in us. Oh.
The iDrive.
They did not. This is how they came?
Yeah.
I mean, somebody took them out before you got them.
That's probably it. They're probably already in good will.
They saved your life.
Undoubtedly with the bathing brew. That's that.
Oh, I thought I said babe and brew. I thought you got the girl and the coffee pot.
See, like most of these things, the babe does not come with a package.
It's for advertisement purposes only.
Apparently. Apparently. So anyway, these were apparently. And this is says as seen on cable.
Not TV, just on
Not
the
TV,
cable.
just on cable.
Oh,
as seen on cable.
Wow.
There's I forget. I think Anna picked these up at Target or something. They're absolutely terrific. One of the. I don't know how exciting things were. Things got real exciting here because we got so many people coming at Christmas time that we've worked it out that we just do a grab bag thing among the extended family. So I forget who got my brother-in-law, David Kale. Remember he was on the show a few weeks back when he was here for Thanksgiving. So I mean, we set it's like a $10 limit or something like that. So David got 10
scratch-offs.
Scratch-offs.
How much they get? How much they win?
Well, the first bunch he got about $6. Then he's scratching off the last one. $10,000.
Did it get 10 grand?
$10,000.
Isn't that great?
Wow. Wow. He could have bought these for the whole family then with that money. Everybody could have them.
Then I said to him, maybe your lawyer better take a closer look at this. And I didn't have my glasses on, and of course it was dark in here because it was. Speaking, it's dark in here now. I forgot to turn the lights on.
Lights on, nobody's home.
So anyway, there we go. The color just improved dramatically.
Wow, that's terrific.
So I took it upstairs where I had glasses and a better light, and it says on the back how to redeem the ticket. You know, if it's under $100, you can take it anywhere lottery tickets are sold, and if it's over $100, you send it to Make Believe Lane, Never Neverland.
Oh, somebody gave a fake one. Oh,
and then the really fine print it says. Odds of winning 0 out of 10,000.
Oh
boy!
He had it all spent before I came back down.
What a bummer that is.
Apparently, that was something you can pick up at Spencer Gifts or those places. And it looked just like the others. Honest to God.
Yeah. Chip, what do you want?
They had the lucky leprechauns.
What do you want from me, Chip?
That's a chip seat right there. I had it last time.
There, sit over there. Sit over there.
But the youngins enjoyed their time.
Oh yes, indeed.
What do you want from me, Chip?
And my sister came for Christmas morning, Dale, which was nice. I haven't seen her in a while. And by the way, her birthday is tomorrow as well. So.
Oh wow!
In fact, when Louisa was born, I made the usual calls around, and I got every single one of my siblings had the answering machine on. Every one. I got nobody in person. Because I was in the, and now we're talking, what, it should be 23. So it's 23 years ago. So that was in the era when everybody had to have an answer. Everybody was getting these answering machines as opposed to, cell phones and everything else that's come since. But so I called my sister in California. And totally spontaneously, I said to her, "You've always been my favorite sister. I've always tried to please you. So from now on, you can share your birthday with your brand new niece, Louisa."
Oh, I bet she was excited.
Well, this is Chip the Wonder Dog, slightly off camera again, as usual, when he's not knocking the camera over as he did during the last show. And I think we mentioned Dan Weaver a moment ago. Dan will be, who of course runs the Book Hound in downtown Amsterdam. He'll be thrilled to know that Chip the Wonder Dog killed my Kindle yesterday.
Really?
Yes, he did.
How did?
Oh, well, it was sitting on top of a table. He was running around, knocked the table over. The Kindle hit the floor first, and the table second.
Ooh.
Yep.
I hate it when that happens.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Go sit down.
Did you have a warranty on your?
Well, the warranty's out.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah. That happened with Mary's too. Just about a month after the warranty ran out. Yeah. Yeah.
So
But they do offer you a deal. They'll give you a new one for like $88 instead of $139 or something. So. So I'll have a new old one. And what's funny is we got one for one of the kids who decided they didn't want it, and we just sent it back like the day before.
you have impeccable timing, sir.
Oh, wow. So how did things go with Casa Murdoch?
Oh, they were great. He was up earlier than we anticipated or hoped, and he went downstairs and found his bagpipes all wrapped up and played the pipes all day with his new soccer shirts on while he was touching his iPod Touch. So he multitasked.
You got a new set of bagpipes?
New set of bagpipes. We kind of made a offhanded comment that if they went to the Worlds and won, that we'd probably be able to get him a new set of bagpipes. And
well, how does one set of bagpipes superior to another?
Yeah. The engraving on the metal on there, it's real silver, really engraved. It's not nickel plated. It's got a superior wood that they use. It's a little bit more carved on it. It's got aged ivory on it instead of make-believe new ivory on it. And so I guess it just shows you don't ever make an offhanded comment to a kid.
Well, what the heck?
Because they won't forget.
You think he earned it?
Yeah, he did.
I think he did.
Yeah, he did.
I don't know about the iPad. But.
Yeah. The iPad Touch. iPod Touch.
That's the smaller one?
Yes, a little thing like that. And you
the Kindle-sized one?
Smaller than that. He can play his music on there, and he can email people, he can play games on there, but he can't make phone calls on there. So it's not a cell phone. So we had a good Christmas. My wife bought me 2 books for Christmas.
Oh, yeah?
And I did. Truthfully, I did knock one of them off my table yesterday, and it's still usable. I was fortunate for that. There's a Tom Clancy.
Gotta move the camera. Oh, a new Tom Clancy?
Yeah. Both of them were Tom Clancy's that she got me, and so I've been trying to.
You know, where was I? I was somewhere recently. Was it in the? Maybe it was in the jury room up at the courthouse, and there were like 4 Tom Clancy's sitting there.
Yeah.
Because they leave a lot of stuff for the jurors to read or for the staff to read on their lunch hour. I had not read a single one of them, which means that he's been prolifically writing while I've been sitting around ignoring him.
Yeah.
He's a good writer.
Oh, absolutely. He's very astute on foreign policy and intelligence.
Astute is beyond, is too tame a word. Because, for example, I remember reading The Cardinal of the Kremlin.
Oh.
Like a year before they tried the coup to overthrow Gorbachev, and it's like, it's almost a script for what ultimately happened, and of course the American helps rescue him.
Yeah. In fact, you know where I read Cardinal in the Kremlin?
In the Kremlin?
Yeah, pretty close. In Russia, I read that. Yeah.
Really? You were allowed to do that, or they didn't know you
there was a professor who was teaching at the university there who had amassed a library of American literature, and I'd go down there every 2 weeks and pick up a new book to read. So I read a lot of Tom Clancy's there, as well as James A. Michener's while I was there, because they're long books.
Michener's a hell of a writer too. He died finally, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. You know what's interesting? The one I'm reading, there's some things going on in Libya and Tripoli and Benghazi in this book, and I said, "Holy mackerel! Boy, is he on top of this thing?" Yeah. You know, and I would recommend this to any sitting president of the United States who read Tom Clancy. He might learn something about foreign policy. But I don't know. I don't know if he.
There's a nice picture of him on Drudge today eating a snow cone. So I kind of.
Clancy?
No, President
Obama.
Yeah, I kind of.
Cone.
A snow cone. I kind of felt,
akin to him.
I felt a kinship with him. Yeah, he's eating a snow cone.
Was it a rainbow or was it a blue
It
raspberry?
appeared to be actually, I'm not sure, but it appeared to me like it was a lemon lime.
I saw, I got, somebody sent me on the computer what it cost for his vacation in Hawaii.
Well, this one started out at $5 million. The additional coming and going cost another $7 million.
$7 million. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
For a vacation.
Maybe.
No. No, you go up to Galway Lake a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
And have a lot more fun.
Okay, let's see.
So one of your friends over Christmas, I saw one of your friends
Oh,
over
who's that?
Christmas, Judy Mustaine.
Oh, I saw she was in town
Yeah,
and she didn't stop
she
by
was.
to see me. Huh. Well, she never does. I don't even think she knows where I live.
She does now.
Oh, you drove.
We told her where you live.
Oh, she's just up the street. She's
Yeah,
next door
up
to
on Tremont.
my cousin there.
On Wilkes.
Yeah.
On Wilkes, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's nice.
Yeah.
That's nice. Her mother's still alive, right?
Yes, she is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Her sister takes care of her.
Yeah. Wow.
Flash from the past.
Yeah. Speaking of flashes from the past, I got a whole list of obituaries in the 2 weeks since we left. One in school district obituary, Leon Wizakowski, who was he was principal at Academy Street and I think later Curie maybe.
Yeah, he was before my time in the school district. And then one of the teachers too, Karen Golden, who retired last year.
Oh, I saw that too. Yeah.
Yeah, and they dedicated the yearbook last year to her.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, Leon was 90. He was. I ran into him at the Hageman pancake breakfast. Hageman Fire Department campaign breakfast is what it is because they always schedule it 2 days before the election, the Sunday before the election. Maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3, I forget. We always go to it, and we got seated across from him, and I said, I said, I think I know you, don't I? He says, Leon Wizakowski. I said, yeah, of course. Leon and my father grew up on Hibbard Street together. They were like best friends as kids, and it's, I guess it's odd these days to even run into somebody who remembers my father because he would have been 90 this year. Leon had just turned 90, and we had a nicest chat. A heck of a guy. Back in the 60s, mid-60s, I think, there was a vacancy in the office of superintendent of schools.
Mm-hmm.
And my father writes a letter to the editor saying, we should go for a homegrown superintendent this time, somebody who knows the territory, who's been around and knows the people, knows their needs, blah, 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 blah.
In-house as opposed to out-house.
That's right. And of course he was plugging for Leon, his best friend of his childhood. Then somebody else writes a letter saying, no, that's ridiculous. We should get the best person, and we should import someone who's not beholden to all the petty little special interests of the town. And then a third person writes in and says, it sounds like you two guys are picking a superintendent like you should pick tomatoes. In any event, Leon didn't get the job. I think that may have been when Ray Carpenter came in, I'm not sure, who was, of course, imported.
I got the word yesterday that Tom DeMezza is going to apply for the chairmanship or the executive position for the county.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
There you go. So he'll be the Republican candidate. Yeah. Well, they got to get that money back for Patsy Baya. I mean, he's $300,000 poorer now.
And the
a year.
The three people that were together when he made the statement was DeMezza, Baya,
and Ronnie Barone.
Trinity. Not holy, just Trinity.
Yep.
So it was sad to hear of Ron Wysoberski's death.
Oh, I was shocked. You know, we were gone for the day Friday. For the day.
Yeah.
Had to drop. Well, that's right. It was Friday. I was thinking it was Saturday we traveled. No, it was Friday. Friday he died, right?
Yeah.
And had to drop Jamie off at the airport and stayed overnight the night before with at Louisa's place. And I get home and Charlie Crable, apparently somebody several hours earlier had mentioned it, but I missed it. I hadn't got that far, and Charlie Crable mentioned it. Oh, jeez. I mean, that's it. That was a shock.
That was a shock. And
the week before, I had talked to him at length. He came to see me about. He had the local law with him. He says, "Does this say what I think it says?" I said, and I didn't even have to know what he didn't have to elaborate any further. I said, "Yes, it means exactly what you think it says, Ron. They're trying to eliminate you in the middle of your term."
And they can't do that.
He says, "Can they do that?" And I said, "Well,
the only one that can do it is the governor."
They did that. No, that's not true. They can eliminate the position. They did that in Albany when Teresa Cook was elected controller of Albany County.
They can do that, but they can't hire somebody else to do the same job. They got a different.
Well, they got to change the job, but that's what they're doing. They're changing the job. Changing the job.
But I also heard that they offered him $100,000. Is that me?
Yeah.
They offered him $100,000 to leave, to resign.
He didn't tell me that.
Well, I don't know if that's true. It's just that, you know, some guy come running into my house Friday. It was probably 11:30, and he started telling me the whole story. I said, "Well,
well, needless to say, you know, I got to tell you, I feel a little bit guilty about this because, you know, I talked him into running in the first place."
Well, yeah, that's.
You know, and I sure as heck didn't do the guy any favors by doing that. I was his lawyer on the two long counts because he had both a narrow win in the primary and a narrow win in the general election.
Well, it was surprising how the 3 or 4 days before that the mayor's bashing him pretty bad on TV and at a council meeting. And after it happened, she said, "Oh, what a wonderful guy."
Yeah, well, I got a few things to say about that. I initially said a lot about it on Facebook, and then I'm looking at this, and I said, "I better save this. I better think about this some more." And I took the post down.
Did you?
It's often best not to.
Not
to use your initial impulses. A lesson I've never learned, by the way.
Do we all?
Been times.
But yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any question that the stress he was under on this job killed him. It really did. One of the things he said to me was, he says in the first few months after I took office, he says I begged the state to come in and look at the books and audit the books, and you know what they told me? We don't do that anymore.
Yeah.
You're on your own. Hire somebody else. You know, and I mean, he was at the point where he couldn't make heads or tails out of the old records.
He can't find half the money.
Yeah.
He can't find any records for any of the grants or loans or.
Yeah.
You know,
and so what happens? 2 days after he's dead, the state suddenly says, "Oh, we're going to come in and do an audit." Wow.
Well, what happens is that the state monitors the radios and the newspapers.
Yeah.
And there's so much going on in the city, they probably decided they better check it out. Can you imagine if they had stepped in back when the TP fiasco was going on?
Yeah, right. Well, look how long. Well, actually, once we got the records, we could figure it out. But getting them was.
But getting them, that's the problem.
And of course, it was all done wrong to begin with.
Yeah.
If it had been done right, there wouldn't have been the problem wouldn't have existed.
Well, that's what's happened.
I'm sure that's happened all over the place. So anyway, you know, they had a secret meeting of the upper echelon of the Democratic Party before he, you know, before he died. The mayor wanted to make it, you know, kind of official policy of the Democratic Party to ask him to resign. And God bless Jeff Stark, who's the city chairman. You know, we don't agree on a lot of stuff politically, but Jeff has got character, and he said this guy was our candidate. We put him into office. He's a good guy, and he's working hard, and we need to back him 100%. And so they didn't get their wish.
So they asked the state to hold off for a couple months to before they come in. And
what? Gives us time to do what?
Exactly. That's to get our paperwork in order.
That's why they should come in and find out what paperwork's not in order.
And one of the things that
how can you get? They got to do their budget in another month. How are they going to do that if they don't know anything?
And one of the things the state is going to find is when I pitched about them using the FEMA money as a revenue item in the budget.
Right.
I said, yeah, you can call it a revenue, but you can't use it to offset expenses, and that's what they did. So what's going to happen when the state finds that?
They'll get a criticism. What the state should do is just come in and take over.
Well, they may. They may. What happened in Troy? Didn't they do that in Troy?
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
When they had problems down there, they came in and took over.
All right. Knowing what I just said about what was going on beforehand and what you said about what was said out in the open in the Common Council meetings, this is what really put me over the edge when I wrote that thing on Facebook that I later withdrew. Official statement of the Montgomery County Democratic Party. All right? County Democrats mourn loss of Controller Ronald Wierzbicki. The Democratic Party of Montgomery County is both shocked and saddened by the passing of Amsterdam City Controller Ronald Wierzbicki at the age of 73. Mr. Wierzbicki, who took office just less than 1 year ago, was a strident champion of his constituency and a cherished colleague within the Democratic Party. Cherished colleague that they were trying to throw out. Yeah. Our most sincere condolences are extended to Ron's wife Jean and their children at this very difficult hour. Mr. Wierzbicki treasured his family, and only thoughts of healing, prayer, and comfort are sent their way. This is written by atheist Tom Georgia, which accounts for the way that's worded. You know, send good thoughts their way.
No prayers.
No prayer. Well, thoughts of prayers. We'll send thoughts.
Thinking of
not praying. Thoughts and prayers. Thoughts of prayers. Thoughts of healing, prayer, and comfort. Yeah, it's very, Zen. Mr. Wierzbicki's drive for excellence in his elected position is emblematic of his character, tenacity, and strength. I happen to agree with that.
That's true.
But they don't believe in that.
The mayor didn't believe it.
We fondly remember our fallen friend for these qualities and honor his contributions to our city, our county, and to our party. Yeah, he beat their candidate.
Yeah.
Mr. Wierzbicki's work as city controller. Listen, this really put me over. The dripping insincerity of what I just read is one thing, but this one, this is one thing. I can't control the telephone while we're doing this show.
No.
All right. Anyway, I don't suppose you can hear who that is.
I can't understand.
Well, that's the last one. Mr. Wierzbicki's work as city controller rests with his very capable staff and with his colleague and partner, Mayor Ann Thane, who will excellently guide this period of transition and continue to work for the people of Amsterdam.
Why is that even in there?
Huh?
Why is that even in there?
That's.
So why do you think it's in there?
That's so.
It's all about how wonderful Ann Thane. Ron Wierzbicki's dead, and it's all wonderful. And by the way, they've just gone through saying there's nobody in the controller's office who knows how to do this job, but it's a very capable, excellent staff.
But according to our charter, if there's nobody in that job, isn't it the mayor's job to take it over?
No, I don't think so. No, there's a deputy controller who's supposed to fill in until they fill the position. The mayor is usurping that power by going. I will guide the controller's office. Yeah. Okay. Guess what? You don't have a right to do that.
Going down the dead end street with that one.
Yeah.
The loss of our friend and colleague leaves a tender spot in the hearts of all the Democratic Committee as we extend wishes of peace to the Wierzbicki family in their time of healing. Now, we're sending wishes of peace. Hey, you know what? Ron Wierzbicki was in church every Sunday with his wife.
I know. Every Sunday, he'd stop me after Mass, and he'd start telling me what the things that he was trying to do and what he couldn't do.
Yep. And, I've known Ron for decades. I mean, he ran for supervisor or something years ago, or alderman, maybe, I forget, years ago in this ward. May have been back when it was still the 6th ward, I think. And there's no question he could be the word gruff came up frequently. Direct, pointed, to an extent obnoxious, and when I endorsed him, I said Ron Wierzbicki's a pain in the dupa, but I'm voting for him.
Yes, he was very gruff.
But I got to say this: you'd think he'd be the most difficult guy in the world to live with. I never saw a more loving relationship than between him and his wife, and as equals. There wasn't like he was treating her like he treated me. I went out to lunch with them a couple of times together, and it was just delightful. And he could be very charming company one-on-one when he's I like the guy. That's all I can say. I like the guy, and I supported him, and he was trying to do his job. Anyway.
And that's what they didn't like.
Yeah,
because he was looking for the errors. He was looking for the documentation, and he couldn't find it. And how many times at a council meeting when they wanted to pass an item, he said, "There's no money in there." And they said, "Well, take it somewhere else." He said, "No." He said, "You don't do that."
He doesn't know where there's money anyplace else either. That was pulling one thread and it was all unraveling.
The last time I talked to him, I says they're claiming there's about $1 million in fund balance. He said, "Jim," he says, "that's what they're claiming." He said, "But I don't know." He says, "I don't know." He says, "They haven't shown it to me."
Yeah, prove it.
Yeah, and everybody was trying to do his job. That's part of the problem.
Yeah.
No, it's.
I got my first reaction when I was sent a copy of the Democratic Committee notice. My first reaction was to recall a poem by Vachel Lindsay. The name of the poem was "The Eagle That Is Forgotten." Do you remember that one from English class?
No, I don't remember that.
Anyway, this. "We have buried him now," thought your foes, and in secret rejoiced. They made a brave show of their mourning, their hatred unvoiced. They had snarled at you, barked at you, foamed at you day after day. Now you were ended. They praised you and laid you away.
There you go. That's exactly what they did.
Isn't that right?
Tom Georgia read that before he wrote the other thing.
Yeah. Boy. So I can't stand the phoniness.
I know.
All right, extend your best wishes, or don't pretend. Don't pretend that this guy was your friend and colleague and partner.
Yeah, say it now or hold your peace.
Did you watch the council meeting or didn't you?
No.
You don't watch it?
No.
I have to watch it because I shouldn't, because I get upset. But
so maybe you like to get upset. What can I tell you?
The mayor put up Dibus for deputy mayor. And Richie, before the meeting, says, "I want to make an amendment to that resolution." And they says, "Well," he says, "you can't do that." He says, "Yes, I can." He said, "And I want to make an amendment to put Joe Isabel's name there." So they didn't have too many arguments, except Joe said that he wanted, because they asked, he said he wanted it because he didn't intend to run again, and he wanted to go out on a high note or whatever he said. And Diver says, "Well, that's why I want it. He's because I want to finish what I've started here." He said, "I'm not." He said, "I don't."
Well, wait a minute. Who nominated Dibus?
the mayor, I guess.
The mayor's got no business nominating the deputy mayor.
But they don't. The council has no idea what the.
That's strictly a council appointment.
Yeah, she introduced a resolution.
Just like the city clerk is strictly a council appointment.
Yeah. Well, she wanted to. She presented a resolution to the council. She says, "Can I do this?" And the corporation council says, "Yeah, you can submit resolutions on your own with your name." No, you don't. I said, somebody else has got to do it on the council.
Yeah, there are certain things that are strictly limited to the council, and that's one.
And everybody's sitting there like, okay, I don't.
So, all right. So Richie puts up Isabel. Isabel says he wants it, and then he gets it, right?
Yeah.
What was it, 4-1?
3-2.
It was 3-2.
Yeah.
Valerie voted against them.
Valerie voted against them. Yeah. That's this. And I guess I thought they had passed it, but somebody told me they didn't. The resolution to accept the maintenance for the bridge that they haven't built.
You're kidding.
I thought they had passed it because I jumped up in the air and said, "You're gonna have a heart attack." But somebody said no, they didn't. That's why they wanted an executive session, because they wanted to discuss it. And somebody said, "Well, that's not discussable."
No, that's right. That's the issue. The issues involved in that are exactly what should be discussed in the open. What are the implications of this? What's it going to cost us? What happens if we don't do it?
Divas says no. He says, "I want to discuss it in
open session."
And if we don't, he says, "I want a letter from somebody saying that they okay it."
Bob Freeman, maybe. No, that's absolutely wrong. Yeah. Absolutely wrong.
And the other thing that I really don't like is they don't read the resolutions anymore.
Yeah.
They read the title, and that's it. Nobody knows what the hell the resolution is. They bought a new truck.
I guess in a fiefdom you don't have to do that.
Yeah, she says she doesn't want.
Well, this is the most transparent administration in history.
Yeah, sure is.
You can see the corrupt.
You can see right through it.
Yeah.
And there's nothing on the other side.
No, there's pretty shallow.
Yeah, I heard the whole meeting kind of degenerated. A couple of people told me, but I didn't watch it myself.
Yeah, I do watch it because I don't trust the newspapers to get the stories correct. So
yeah.
Of course, I don't get the stories correct after I watch the meeting either.
No, that's all right. So you got a great future ahead of you as a reporter. All right. How about Rush Emery?
Yeah.
He's kind of turned into a hermit in recent years. I run into Sally every once in a while, his wife Sally, and I said, "Well, what's the boss doing these days?" I can't get him to go anywhere.
He was there for a long time.
Between undersheriff and sheriff, Lordy, he was there forever.
Something like 30 years or something.
40 probably.
And did I hear correctly that he always ran unopposed?
That's not exactly true. Let me think about this. The first time he ran, I guess he became acting sheriff probably when Sheriff Wirt retired. Or else Wirt announced he wasn't running for re-election. I forget what it was.
I forgot.
It was around 1974 maybe. And I was a Republican committeeman back then, at the ripe old age of 23. And I remember both Rush and Tom Murray were looking for the job at the time. Tom was a long-time justice in the town of Glen. But he had been a state trooper before that. And I don't think he was a judge yet. But let me tell you, he looked like a sheriff, because he stands about 6'3" and
Ray.
This is Tom Murray. Good guy. Anyway, and then Rush comes, who's a lot shorter. But Russia, Russia had the support going in. So to that extent, I don't know that they actually had a primary. I don't think they did. So you may be right that he made that. I mean, he had opposition the first time he got elected, but I'm not sure that he actually had an opponent in the general election.
That's a tough.
Or in the primary.
That's a tough position to run against an incumbent.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
The incumbent sheriff usually wins and wins and wins. Even no matter what.
But Amato's had opposition 2 or 3 times.
Yeah, but they couldn't beat him though.
I know, but there were
Foose ran against him. Owen Foose ran against him.
I don't know if Foose ever went on the ballot though, did he? I forget. But Bob Arthurs ran against him.
Yes.
And Tom DeMezza ran against him.
Oh yeah.
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 I mean, so I first met Rush back then, I guess, was the first time. And I was talking to somebody from the old days after that announcement hit and said, a lot of guys who hold political office will look down at you because they're, especially you got a job like that.
Shots.
Rush was never like that. Never like that. He treated everybody as an equal or a friend. Well, even more remarkable is back when we were just, young upstarts. He treated us just the same as he would,
the old guys.
People with more experience. And I worked with him when I was ADA. I had, obviously, I'll never forget the night he calls me at 3:30 in the morning and says, "We got a murder here in Fort Plain, and the district attorney's got his phone off the hook, and the ADA Tomlinson's out of town, so you're it. Come on up." It was not only a fascinating case, I turned it into a murder mystery decades later. But it was great to work with. I remember standing with him outside a drug raid one time, and he gives me his best Gary Cooper voice. And he says, "This guy coached Little League." He says, "What are they going to tell the kids?" But it was great. Good, really, really good. And a cop's cop. When my friend Gary Johnson was killed in the line of duty, I was representing his family in the aftermath, and boy, Emery couldn't have been better. I mean, he whatever he could do for the family, he did, and for me. So anyway, he was a hard guy not to like. I mean, he was. God, I think he was with the St. Johnsville Police Department before he went with the Sheriff's Department.
I think so.
I forget the details of the story, but his first initiation into law enforcement, I think he was like a 17-year-old kid, and there was some guy was attacking a woman in a car, and he goes over and rips the guy out of the car and saves the woman. Yeah. Anyway, he was a giant around here, and that's going to be a long line at the Betson Jackson Funeral Home.
Yeah, it's up county, right?
It's in Fultonville. Yeah, yeah. And it kind of overlaps with. It starts a little bit earlier than where Spicky's is 4 to 7, right? Tonight.
I think so. Yeah.
Mass is tomorrow. Wow. There we go again. Yeah, why don't you get it? Just tell them there's nobody available.
I have to go to that break early because I've got to go to dinner.
Anyway, what else we got? We got Dick and Sonia. Dick and Sonia.
Yes. Yeah. He was a character.
Oh, a character and a half. A character and a half. I've known Dick a long, long time. He was a friend of my father's. In fact, they shared an office in Fort Plain together for a while. They bought out somebody else's practice, and they were taking turns spending a day or two a week up there to see if anybody walked in.
They used to live across this a little bit kitty corner from me in the big
yeah, in my cousin Michael's house. Yeah,
yeah. And my kids used to play with his kids.
Well, there were a lot of his kids to choose from.
Yeah, sometimes, do you know what happened today? You know what happened?
Yeah. Anyway, Dick and Mary used to come over and play bridge with my parents at the house, and when I was a kid, I thought he was the funniest man on the face of the earth. He had kind of like a Maury Amsterdam, quick. He could not have been more different from my father philosophically on every if my father was in the Mojave Desert, Dick was on Alpha Centauri, okay? And yet they got along great. They got along terrifically. A lot of fun.
You don't have to agree to be friends.
No, you don't. No, you don't. And as I got older, I used to have lunch down at the Topaz with a table full of people who didn't agree on anything, including Dick. I mean, Dick was really way to the left of Che Guevara. He really was. Yeah. It didn't matter. I mean, you had John Kaczynski Jr. who would support a chicken if he was running on the Democratic line because he was a straight party man. Bob Brisky was pretty much the same way on the Republican side. You had Bob Mannion, who was a little more conservative, but not as strict Republican line guy. You had Ray Sinda, who was way to the right. I'm leaving myself out of this. Mike Rayfield, who was a standard 1970s liberal Democrat, but certainly to the right of Dick. And these same arguments would be going around, and everybody had an opinion, and freely expressed it. And it was terrific.
They all respected each other's opinions.
I don't think so. No, but they respected each other as friends.
That's it. As friends, they respected each other. So your opinion didn't matter.
They later, or around the same time, actually, I was involved with the Adirondack Players, and as was Dick. And he directed me in Star Spangled Girl, where I had the lead in that.
You were the girl?
I was not the girl, but I had half the dialogue in the play. I actually sat down and counted them. I said, "Geez, seems like I'm talking a lot." It was like one of these shows. It was, there may have been two other characters on stage, but I'm doing all the talking.
You learn good. You learn good for this thing.
First I do a scene with her, then I do a scene with him, and then I do another scene with her, and sometimes the three of us, but I'm doing half the talking in that scene. I think I'm sure we were in at least one show together. Anyway, I was stage manager for A Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Forum. And Dick naturally played the dirty old man, Seneca. Was it Seneca? Whatever. That was his part. And Dick Halligan was playing the part that Phil Silvers played in the movie Marcus Lycus, the purveyor of female flesh, and John Noble was playing Pseudolus, and Eddie Schwartz was Hysterium. And the four of them do the showstopper, Everybody Ought to Have a Maid, which has like 3 encores. It ends great, and then they go off stage, and then they come back on, and they add another character each time they come back on. And if they had only had video cameras, back then. It was just before they came in. It was one of the greatest performances you'll ever see, because you had 4 pros up there just giving it everything. What a great show that was.
I was cleaning out some stuff yesterday, day before, and I found a receipt for the first video camera that I bought. $1,100.
Wow.
I got it, and that was a discount I got it in California.
Well, I'm saying wow. Mine was probably $900, the first one I bought. Now that I think about it, and I remember when I got one.
They're huge.
Yeah,
it's like a TV camera.
Yeah.
Well,
because you had the big tapes in there.
I got a second hand. Remember when they had those split VCRs, where you could put half of it. Carry half of it in a shoulder bag, and then you could use a smaller camera because and then you're plugged into that. I had one of those, and the camera itself was only like $300 or $400 only. And then I had one of those big VHS ones that weighed a ton that you carried on your shoulder.
That's what I got.
Maybe I had a couple of those. Yeah.
The battery in it was $27.
And about 27 pounds too.
It was about this big.
Yeah, sure.
And when Vinny first started playing football, that's why I said I'm not going to buy another camera. I said I'm going to buy the battery for this thing. Like I said, $27. I think I used it once.
I think my battery finally went dead, and I never replaced it. And then then you go to the next generation stuff. And then I went to the 8mm, and that died about 5 times. I don't know how many times I brought it back to Sears under warranty. Really? And it finally died. All the others. So I got all these 8mm tapes. I got nothing to play with them.
Can't play them off your camera and plug it in?
No, the camera doesn't work. No.
They have a.
You can borrow ours.
I was going to say they also have a device that you can put the tape in and play it on another different type of machine.
Well, yes. One day I'll get another device. I was just going cleaning my room upstairs, and I came across a bunch of devices. I decided my little office room upstairs did not have a sufficient feng shui, so I
went to
work on it yesterday.
Desk has to face the door.
I'm just working around the room, so I got one corner done, but that moves everything else further the other direction.
Yeah, it's amazing how much stuff we accumulate, and you never want to throw it out because the day you do, you need it the day after.
That's right.
I tell my wife that all the time.
Back to Dick. Because I saw him in court and all that. I got him in court one time. I was prosecuting a case, and it was a DWI case, and his client, like all his clients, had exactly 2 beers before being pulled over, and it was all a terrible mistake, and that. And I think I was apologizing to the jury in my summation. I said, I don't have the. I said everything I've learned here I learned from Mr. and Sonia, but I didn't learn everything he knows. I said, so please don't hold it against the people, because I'm not as good as he is doing these things. And I said, in fact, Dick was my director some years ago. We were in doing the little theater together, the Adirondack Players, and Dixon, I got Dick nodding along. I said, yeah.
And then you throw this.
I said, boy, we did some pretty good fiction in those days. Then we did. He said, yeah, we did. I said, that's what you heard here today.
You let him down the primrose path and nailed him.
Oh, I almost felt guilty about it afterwards, but I learned that trick from him.
Did they convict him?
No. I don't think so.
Didn't he, if I recall, didn't he hide a witness or something out of time?
Well, we don't want to talk about that. He had
well, that's part of his,
Well, it was, but he went through a terrible time with that. It was eventually overturned, and he was disbarred for a while because of that. And it was overturned, and he went back to work. But he was out. It's like over a year, I think, and you know that's when his kids were growing up, and he ended up taking a job selling cars in New Jersey to support the family.
Yeah, that was a tough time for him.
Yeah, you know. Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, one of the things that I wish I could do this. I'm going to try it anyway. He used to do a Ronald Coleman impression, and every once in a while I'd say, Dick, do your Ronald Coleman. You know, and, you know, Dick had this kind of mischievous elf type of face, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But when he was doing Ronald Coleman, all of a sudden the face, all of a sudden he became the dashing, debonair Ronald Coleman. You know, hey, I said, do Ronald Coleman. And he'd say, if I were king, our love, if I were king, what tributary nations would I bring to stoop before your scepter, and to swear allegiance to your lips and eyes and hair? Beneath your feet, what treasures I would fling, the stars should be your pearls upon a string, the world a ruby for your finger ring, and you should have the sun and moon to wear, if I were king. He did it much better than Coleman, but it was just great, you know. Anyway, it was they're dropping like flies. I mean, that was a tough week.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's funny how many people hang on until Christmas. You know, then they'll die in a few days after. You know, seen it happen over and over and over.
So it doesn't just seem like there are more that go at this time,
no,
but there really
I think they really do. I think they, you know, my father was Thanksgiving. He, all the kids were home for Thanksgiving. He met my brother Tim's future wife for the first time. Everybody seemed to be doing fine and okay, and that's it.
That's it.
I've done my job.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mary's father died right after Christmas.
One of our vets also died right around there, Marcelino.
Oh, and Frankie. Did Frankie die since the last time we met?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, yes. Well, all right, we got a minute. First of all, he was just a great guy, period. He was, I don't know anybody who didn't like Frankie Marcelino. He was just a happy guy, you know.
Yeah.
And up until recent years, he was out jogging every morning. And I think he had to be like 90, wasn't he?
Yeah, I think that's what it said.
And you know, then in recent years, he's you know, the arthritis just took over, and he would come to church and sit in that front pew at St. Mary's, and he could just waddle in, but you know, even if he had a cane, he wouldn't use it. He just refused to give in. You know, and finally, you know, his grandson would take him, and you know, finally he actually needed to hang on to him, but you know, he every week without fail. And that was just like in the last, I don't know, 6 weeks or so, he's been over at the institution formerly known as the infirmary. Had a couple of strokes, went fast, but he's in my book.
Mm-hmm.
He's in my book. He was
Navy vet, wounded.
Yeah, he was driving one of those. I don't know whether he was on the crew anyway of one of those assault craft going to Sicily. I don't know if it was one of the ones that got lost, like the one Malcolm Tomlinson was on or not. It sounds like something. So then I forget whether he was wounded there or was wounded later, but in any event, after that he got to go home for a little while. And then they sent him out to the Pacific. And then he's doing the same thing at the Battle of Tarawa, where they, what was it? They lost like 80% of the assault craft that never made it to shore.
They got hung up on the reef.
Yeah, they got hung up on the reef, and then the Japanese came out and overtook a couple of the ones hanging on the reef and turned the guns on the Marines, and so I mean he was right in the middle of that too. Then I guess he was the Philippines afterwards. I don't know, Leyte or Luzon or one of those landings, or maybe both.
And he was part of that great era of boxing in Amsterdam.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
The Perfetti boys.
Yeah, everybody. Now,
this was a great boxing town.
Yeah, yeah. The best of them all was Carl Palumbo, who became the Allied Forces featherweight champ during the war. Not just his company, not just his division, not just the American Army, the Allied Forces featherweight champion. Wow. And they wrote about him in Ring magazine, and they said, this guy's going to, when the war's over, he's going to be the featherweight champion of the world. He's that good. All right? And then they send him back to the front. He gets shot in the leg and the arm, and he's never able to box again. And 10 or 15 years later, loses the leg due to his war injuries. I say this as preface to the fact that Frankie Marcelino fought Carl Palumbo to a draw, or a split decision, one or the other, I forget, in a huge fight fought here in 1940
at the Army, wasn't it?
It was
I think it wasn't at the Army.
Back at Lanzis.
I don't even think it might have been in back in Lanzis, but I think this one was actually fought up like on the high school field, and there was like 4,000 people there. I got the story. I'll confirm it later.
I don't remember that one.
Well, you were living in Gloversville at the time, weren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Like there were, I think it was refereed by a guy who was a heavyweight contender at the time, who was about to fight for the heavyweight championship. I forget what his name was. But that's how good Frankie Marcelino was. That the best guy Amsterdam produced in that era, when they produced a ton of great fighters.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who was it? Was it? Oh, Buddy Benoit, I think, fought Jake LaMotta to a split decision.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah.
A Raging Bull.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Wow. Anyway, that more than does it for our first hour. I don't know what we're going to talk about in the second hour, because I've already gone through all my notes. So thanks for watching, and tune in shortly for more of The Show with No Name.